So I'm going to give you the whole guide that I run my clients through from start to finish. It is relatively simple, and although there is no tricks or gimmicks, it is going to get you exactly where you want to go. I've helped hundreds of people lose thousands of pounds. And so if you are struggling to lose weight or you have struggled in the past, this is going to be a great guide for you. So number one, the first habit that you should focus on is going to be exercise. Now, I know that's not like very sexy to talk about, but here's why it's so important. So I've heard online, and they're not wrong. The exercise is the least calorie burning thing that you do. So like throughout your day, let's say you burn 2,000 calories. Most of that is going to come from your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, and at least half of that is going to come from your BMR. And so you just existing is going to be, your body processes running and everything is going to be exactly what burns, half of those calories. I don't know why I said exactly, but it's going to be what burns roughly half those calories. Then there's going to be NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which we're going to talk about. There's a thermogenic effect of food, which we're also going to talk about. And exercise is the smallest sliver of the pie, typically. Your NEAT, just the moving, talking with your hands and taking steps and all stuff like that, is a pretty good chunk of the pie. Thermogenic effect of food is a pretty good chunk of the pie. Exercise is very small. So why is it so important? I think we've all experienced this, or at least most people have experienced this. Exercise makes us feel more positive, and there's lots of research done on the mental health side of exercise. But it makes us feel more positive about the whole process. We tend to eat healthier whenever we're exercising. It's not just like I don't want to throw away my exercise, now I'm going to throw it away. It's not just that. It's also the dopamine, the endorphins, all that stuff, the psychology side of things that is making it to where you are more positive about the whole experience. You tend to sleep better whenever you exercise. You tend to have less depression whenever you exercise. Of course, there's the heart health side of things as well. As we're not just doing this to lose fat and look better. Losing fat leads to us becoming much more healthier, but the exercise itself also is going to lead to your heart and your lungs being healthier, your cardiovascular system being healthier. Lifting weights specifically is going to keep your BMR much higher, if not increase it as well, because as you gain muscle, you're going to have lean tissue that burns calories just with you existing. So all of this is extremely positive. So what would I give a client just starting out? Not knowing your situation, makes it tricky. So take this with a grain of salt. You could just be too busy for it. Don't use that as an excuse, but be honest. If you are too busy for what I'm about to tell you, then you got to make an adjustment. So you want to do as much exercise as you possibly can that it doesn't, negatively impact your life. So obviously there's the health side of things. If you did 20 hours a week of exercise or 20 hours a week of cardio, you probably, I don't, I just don't see that being good for maybe your feet would be hurting, your knees would be hurting, something would be off. You would have to eat enough to keep your muscle mass and all that stuff. So obviously we want to balance this out. So how I would start a person off is 2 times a week of lifting weights. And getting into the nitty gritty of exactly what to do is for a different video, but 2 times a week of lifting weights. And if you're like, I don't want to watch another video, I don't want to look into this, go to your local gym and just cycle through the machines that hit all the major muscle groups. Something to push for the chest, something to pull for the back, a lower body squat such as a leg press, and a hamstring curl machine. You'd be hitting the 4 big muscle groups. Of course, there's still shoulders and arms and stuff. But you'd be hitting the 4 big ones, and your arms as an extension of you, pulling. You would also be hitting the rear delt, and as an extension of you pushing, you'd be hitting the front delt, and of course the biceps and triceps are involved in pushing and pulling. So those would be the 4 main ones. But anyways, back to the topic. How often would I have you working out? 2 times a week. Weightlifting is where I would start you off. Let's say 2 to 3 sets per exercise, and as you get used to that, 3 to 4 sets per exercise, and then you might want to turn that into 3 or 4 days a week of exercise where you have a split, but that's a little bit down the road. So for now, 2 to 3 times a week lifting weights, 2 to 3 sets per exercise. That's what I would have you starting off with. And then on your cardio, as many days as you can. I have an awesome free resource for you that is called the 30-Day Shape Up Challenge. It's 30 days of 4 habits that I run my clients through that is going to help you get a great start to your fat loss journey. And there's a bonus 5th habit in case you fall off the wagon at all. All my clients love it and it's free. So just scan this QR code here or click the link in the description and I'll send that straight to your email. So if you find that, hey, I'm already at the gym, and that's the only time I'm being honest with myself that I'm going to do my cardio, then it'd be those 3 days of the week that you're at the gym, that you were already lifting. ideally, because exercise again is so positive on the brain and how you adhere to your program. And I'm telling you, it's just, I mean, I'm sure you already know that it is how important it is for you feeling like I want to follow this program. I believe this program is going to work. So ideally, you'd be working out 2 to 3 times a week, weightlifting, and then the other days you'd be doing cardio. So maybe 3 days a week of cardio. That would put you in the gym 6 days a week. It would become more of a lifestyle. Now, that could be a lot in terms of days per week at first. So you might start with 2 days of lifting and 2 days of cardio. That's 4 days a week. And then you add in a day of cardio, add in a day of lifting as you get better. So that's where I would have you. Perhaps 2 and 2, 2 days of lifting, 2 days of cardio, or 3 and 3, or somewhere in the middle, maybe 3 days of lifting and 2 days of cardio, or 3 days of cardio and 2 days of lifting. When it comes to fat loss, cardio is going to be your best friend. You'll hear people say, especially on Instagram everywhere, you'll hear people say that, they couldn't lose weight doing all this cardio, but now they're lifting weights and now they're losing weight. Typically, if you really looked at their life, that's just not going to have been true. Perhaps they were doing a bunch of cardio and they were eating kind of like junk. Bottom line, doing more cardio is going to help you to lose more fat. Now, if you were doing, there's no point you'd be doing so much cardio that your body would shut down and hold on to the fat. That's just not happening. Something was up with their calories and maybe they honed in their calories. But it is true that long term, it is going to help you lose more fat if you have more muscle. So doing both is by far ideal. But just lifting, if I had to pick just lifting or just cardio for fat loss, I would definitely lean cardio because you will lose fat. Look at any marathon runners, look at cyclists, they are skinny. Typically. So, the best thing for you is going to be your cardio in terms of losing fat. But please don't just take that and do cardio. Also do your weightlifting. That's going to help your BMR go up. Okay. Moving on to point number 2 is going to be your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. And then secondarily to that is steps. I'll explain what I mean. So your NEAT is all the calories you burn outside of formal exercise. So if you go intentionally for a walk, like I'm going outside and I'm going for a walk, that's kind of fuzzy, but I'll get to that a little bit later probably. That's going to be exercise. Hey, I'm going outside and I'm exercising. If you step on a treadmill, it's going to be exercise. If you're lifting weights, of course, that's going to be exercise. But me talking with my hands right now, perhaps you twitching your knee, or the informal cardio that you do, meaning just like the steps you take. If you go grocery shopping, that's going to be your NEAT. If you, see, this is where it gets kind of fuzzy. I go on walks with my family in the evening, in addition to my like cardio walks where they're like harder. So for me, what I kind of consider exercise is like I'm exercising. I'm going to have a good pace. I might be walking a little bit of an incline if I'm on a treadmill. If it's flat, I'm definitely walking like almost as fast as I can. But when it comes to me walking with my family, I'm just kind of strolling along. That is NEAT. So of your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, again, I'm getting tired of saying it, and you're probably getting tired of hearing it. Your steps are the biggest portion. So I always have my clients track their steps. It's not necessarily like you have to get 10,000, but a minimum of 8,000 would be great. And the fact that people are shocked by like 8,000, how do I get 8,000? That is a clue I think, into the problem we have with the obesity epidemic in the United States and really anywhere in the developed world. We have an obesity epidemic that people are shocked. They have, 8,000 minimum. What? I mean, some of my clients in the past get 2,000 steps, and it's like they struggle to get 3. There's no wonder that you're struggling to lose weight whenever your NEAT is so low that you have to eat like a bird in order to lose the weight. So we got to get your calorie burn up throughout the day. And that is in the form of steps. So I just have one of these, it's ironic. Well, I guess not ironic. I have it on me all the time. Oh my gosh. I have one of these step trackers on. I don't know if it's coming through backwards or not for you. That's 10,492. It is 1:11 p.m. here. I end up usually 14, 16,000 steps, but I'm a personal trainer. I walk around all day. I do my workout. I'm in the gym like almost 2 hours a day exercising, talking to people as well because I'm the trainer at the gym that everyone knows. But anyways, steps are going to be your biggest portion. So that thing costs I think for a 2-pack costs like $20 on Amazon. So get yourself a step tracker. You could use your phone, but it's kind of tricky to just always remembering to be walking, because a lot of times whenever I'm walking, I'm on my phone, switching songs or pulling up one of these walking games that I play or anything like that. Where my phone is in my pocket. Sometimes I'll just leave it, somewhere, and I won't be getting the steps. So I don't use my phone. You can use your watch. If it's a good watch, like an Apple Watch or something like that, typically they're going to be pretty accurate. If it's just one of those cheap ones you got off Amazon, no shame in that, but know that they a lot of times just pick up wrist movement. So me sitting here, this is a Whoop, so it doesn't actually track steps. So me sitting here talking like this, it would be picking up all of these wrist movements. My mom actually is trying to compare her Aura ring. This is just a regular ring, but those rings that are like kind of like the Whoop that track everything. They also track steps, and she found that at lunch, she would pick up 300, 600, 1,000 steps, depending on what she was doing. If she was playing a game on her phone or something, it would pick up all those as steps. So you just have to kind of track that. These standard step trackers, they seem really accurate. And so I always test my step tracker, your phone, whatever, where I'll literally count every time my right leg hits the ground. I'll do it to 100 or something or 50, and I'll know, okay, double that because I have a left leg as well. And, if I took 50 steps, it should say 100. And this thing is almost spot on every single time. And that's just like the most popular step tracker on Amazon. If you literally just do pedometer on Amazon, that comes up. So your steps are a huge portion of your daily calorie burn in terms of your NEAT. So try to pick a goal and get to your steps. It doesn't have to be 10,000. Let's say that at first you're like, my gosh, I bought this step tracker and I only walk 4,000 steps a day. That's okay. Make a goal for 5,000 and try to get to 5,000 every single time. The goal here, really why I have my clients track their steps, is as they are eating less, which we're going to get to, and as they're exercising more, we tend to make up for that with less movement. Not all of it. People will claim it's all of it. It's roughly 50%. So if I burn 600 calories, going for a pretty intense uphill walk on a treadmill, about 300 of that I will make up in theory. I think we can I would like to say almost completely negate it, but at least diminish it, that effect of our bodies making up for it if we track our steps. And this is the gold. If you are still in this video, congratulations, you reached the gold point, the golden nugget, where if I think of them as dials. If we dial down the calories and dial up the movement, over here is our NEAT. We don't want it to accidentally dial down because we dialed other things in the directions we want them. So if we can keep our NEAT, which is mainly steps, let's just start calling it steps. If we can keep our steps at, let's say you do 5,000, and I want you to get to 8, but let's just say it's 5. If you keep them at 5, and as your fitness improves and you do more cardio, or you get faster cardio, you burn more calories doing cardio, and as you eat a little bit less, we're not going to make up for that by accidentally dropping our steps, because we're tracking them and we're determined to get our 5,000 every single day. For me, it is 10,000. I really should up it, but I have it set to 10,000 as like my goal on my phone. For me, it should be like 14,000. 14,000 every single day is what I should strive for, because some days I am a little bit below that, So I like to pick something that's a little bit challenging, just barely challenging, and I make sure that stays. It's not so much about burning fat by dialing steps up. Of course, if you're low enough, that's important. But whenever you have 6,000 is what I can walk a day. I have a desk job. It's all I can do. 6,000, we keep that there while we work on the other dials. Okay, so let's move on to the other dials. Number 3 is going to be calories. And then right with that, still number 3 is going to be protein. So earlier I said the thermogenic effect of food is what is a good portion of our calorie burn. So protein has a much higher thermogenic effect of food, meaning it takes more energy to burn through, or to convert that protein to a usable form of energy. So if you eat it's pretty kind of obvious. If you eat a steak or chicken breast, it's going to be harder to break down than a bowl of oatmeal for your body. So it does take energy to burn food, or to make food into usable form of energy. So protein is the highest thermogenic effect of food. I don't exactly know the percentages, but it's like double anything else. Fat can easily be converted to a usable form because it's on our body already. So it kind of just goes there if it needs to. And then carbs are, depending on how whole grain they are, or how whole the carb is, lower than protein, but still decent. They have to be broken down to sugars to be used as energy. If it's sugar, it's very easy to, like candy or something, it's very easy for your body to break that down and use it as energy because it's already in the form that it wants. So your protein, let's start with that. You need to be tracking your food. We'll get to that in a little bit, but at least for a while, you need to be tracking your food. And I'll talk to you about how to do that. But protein, you want your protein to be somewhere around 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, there's caveats to this. I mentioned this in a lot of videos. If you have a great deal of fat to lose, you're not going to be wanting to get 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you weigh 400 pounds, you don't want 400 grams of protein. I mean, it would be really hard to be in a calorie deficit if you're getting 400 grams of protein. And at protein levels that high, I've never seen research that even dives that high because it just wouldn't be applicable to most people. So I don't know if that's safe. There's been talk of like high protein diets being unsafe. Recent research has shown that's just not true. When calories aren't in excess because of that, so if you're eating a bunch of bratwurst in order to get to your, who would do that, but someone might. If you're trying to do that to get to your protein goal, of course it's going to be unhealthy. You're taking in all that saturated fat, all that cholesterol, and your protein, sure, it'll be met, but you'll also end up eating 4,000 calories, so that's not very healthy. So anyways, we want roughly 1 gram per pound of body weight, but if you have a lot of fat to lose, I would call it like 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. I've heard that before, and I really like that just as a general rule of thumb. So if you weigh 400 pounds and you're trying to get down to, if you're like, man, I would just love to be, 180 again, then I would shoot for 180, and that's going to be awfully high. A lot of people, whenever I give them their protein goal, they realize how difficult it is because they're just used to eating more carbs or fat, and you might lean towards carbs or fat. Protein's also a little bit more expensive. It's harder to get, enough. And I'll kind of give you a tip on that in a second, but it's hard to get enough chicken and lean ground turkey to, it's like $6.50 a pop for a pound of lean ground turkey around here, and I'm in Missouri, so it's only probably worse everywhere else. So in order to reach your protein goal, what I do is even with pasta, my pastas will be a majority protein in terms of macros. Now that's because like this carbonara that I just made literally yesterday. That's why I'm pointing like towards the kitchen. I don't know why I'm doing that, but literally made it yesterday. Whole package of chicken is in there. That ended up being like 4 pounds after I trimmed it. Of chicken is in this carbonara pasta. 16 ounces of noodles, so it's like a whole box of noodles, but it's a whole package of chicken. And on each one, I put some lean ground turkey sausage. That is literally just ground turkey seasoned like sausage. It's not the processed sausage; it's already cooked or whatever. In a, it's a healthier form. It's butterball, but I put that on there as well, and so that ends up being, I think, like 54% of my calories are coming from protein. Even with a pasta meal. So a straight up carb meal is predominantly protein. Of course, I eat, drink, I guess. Protein shakes in the morning with my creatine. And so that's another way of doing it. So you start to learn these. I'll kind of encourage you as you start. You might be like, there is no way I'm reaching this protein goal. But I promise as you get better, you're like, you know what? This cheese that I'm eating isn't helping me reach that protein goal because they're so high in fat. You will see that. So you're like, maybe I should switch to, a non-fat cheese. And then literally skim cheese, like zero fat cheese, is mainly protein. It's literally just shredded protein. So you could use that. I kick out the cheese altogether because I just don't want to pay for the non-fat cheese, and cheese just doesn't help me get to my goals. So, and you don't have to, don't, think that I'm telling you not to eat cheese. I'm just saying you'll start to learn what can I include in my diet to help me get to my protein goals. Fat-free cottage cheese, fat-free Greek yogurt, shrimp, obviously any meat really, but steak and pork is going to not help you as much because there's the fat that's also being added to the calories. So really lean ground turkeys, we have 97% around here, 97% lean. And I mean, it's ridiculous how much protein is in a serving. I think it's like 22 grams per serving, and there's like 4 or 5 servings in a package. So there ends up being like, I have to be wrong on that, but I feel like there's close to 100 grams of protein per package of ground turkey. Any recipe I use, I put 2 of them in there, and maybe it is. I think it is over 100 grams of protein per package. So, beef jerky, that's a great snack that is going to be really high in protein. So that's how you're going to reach protein. Now let's talk about calories. This is the part that a lot of people resist, and I promise, give it a chance. I'm not saying you have to do this forever, just give it a chance. Tracking your calories, tracking your macros. You could do a meal plan where you eat the same dinner every day, or the same 2 dinners, the same 2 lunches, and the same breakfast and the same, snack every day. You could do that, and that would be a form of tracking your calories because you track them once. It's the same thing every single time. I haven't found a lot of success on that with my clients because it just gets boring. But you could do like a meal plan for a month, and the next month switch up your meal plan. If you have a family, that's really hard because then you're going to have to be cooking double because who wants to eat like that? So take that into consideration. If it seems like it matches your lifestyle perfectly, then that is going to be that is the ideal way of doing it. I can't do that, and I don't want to do that. But that is the ideal way of doing it. Get the perfect, amount of protein, get the perfect amount of calories, and eat that every single day. That would work. But tracking your calories is a lot better, in my opinion, because it gives you the freedom to eat anything. If you want the cheesecake, you just have to say, does it fit in my budget? It is exactly like budgeting money. If you go into the mall with $100 and I have $100 in my hand, that jacket is 102. That's out of my price range. This jacket over here, though, is 79. I really like it still. You can buy that freely, knowing that that's within my budget, instead of putting it on the credit card and wondering, well, do I have the money or not? And I know that, you can budget with the credit card as well. That's not a perfect analogy, but I'm just saying having the freedom of knowing this fits into my calories. Now, I'm not saying an if it fits your macros thing. That if it fits your macros was just simply eat whatever you want. Ended up being a lot of people just ate junk, as long as it fit into their calories and their protein, carbs, and fats. And a lot of people just took that, I'm just going to do calories. So as long as it fits into a 2,000 calorie diet or whatever they set their goal at, I get to eat it. That's hard because if something's not healthy-ish, lower fat, and I don't want to say low fat is healthy, but I'm just saying like pizza is going to be like a lot of calories. It's hard to, I ate one slice of pizza and that's it. It's hard not to feel hungry still whenever all those calories are in one thing. So eat mostly healthy foods and track your calories. Now, I'll give you some tips on how to track your calories. A lot better, a lot easier. I'm telling you, if you've struggled with this in the past, I'm gonna give you some good stuff here. Number one is get a food scale. Almost always, I should have brought one in here, and I don't want to leave and go get it, but almost always on a food label is, a serving size of some sort. Well, let's just say it'll say a cup, but then right to the side of it, it'll be parentheses, 48 grams. And so you can use a food scale to log so many, or to get an exact amount. You don't have to wonder if it's a cup, or you don't have to get out the cup measurement thing. I'll give you a couple examples that are really gonna, I think, help you. Let's say it's peanut butter. I always use that as an example because, like, if you scoop out a tablespoon of peanut butter, one, if you use a spoon, I promise you it's probably not a tablespoon of peanut butter. It's shocking how little a tablespoon of peanut butter is. But if you use an actual tablespoon, it's usually like an air pocket, and it's kind of high over here and kind of low over there. It's, you level it off, then you're like, oh, there's an air pocket right there. So I don't even know what a tablespoon is. It's hard to tell. Then you got to clean the spoon. Then some peanut butter's left on the spoon. You're only getting a tablespoon. So gosh, you want every little drop of peanut butter you can get. Much better way of doing it. Put the food scale down, put the peanut butter on the food scale, press the 0 button or tare so it's zeroed out, and then you scoop it out till it says minus whatever is on the package. It's almost always going to be 28. So if it says minus 28, that's going to be, I think, two tablespoons. I can't remember. I think it's 2 tablespoons. If it says minus 28, then you have exactly on your spoon 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, or 1 tablespoon, whatever it says in the package. But you can do this with anything. You can do this with Greek yogurt. You scoop it out. I think our Greek yogurt is 170 grams for 2/3 of a cup. So I scoop it out so it says minus 170, and then I know I have exactly a serving of Greek yogurt. I don't have to put it in a measuring cup and hope that I'm accurate enough for it. So use a food scale. Another little tip for you, it just came to my mind, is meat. If you're measuring cooked meat, let's say you grill a bunch of chicken, you're like, okay, I'm gonna eat this for the week. Then for every 4 ounces that you want, you have to measure out 3 ounces because it lost roughly 25% of its body weight in water, as it cooked. So like whenever you put, especially burgers, but any meat on the grill, and it takes up the whole grill, and then by the end there's all the space between all the pieces of chicken. That's because it literally shrunk and it lost water. It didn't lose its calories though, so you're still going to have to log you log 4 ounces, but you measure 3 ounces, if that makes sense. Now, if it's raw, then of course, like if you pre-divided it to 4 ounce servings everywhere, then you don't need to measure it. You just know that's 4 ounces of chicken, or it used to be. Now it might be 3 ounces, but anyways, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent there. So, excuse me, track your calories. And if you have any questions about that, maybe I'll do like a complete guide. If you've made it to this point in the video, good for you. 25 minutes. You are a gem in this world with the patience that you have. But if you have made it to this point in the video, drop a comment that you would like a food logging tutorial. I'll give you like a full out, I don't know, it might be an hour long, I'm not sure, tutorial on food logging. This is going to sound so proud, but I think I would be hard pressed to find someone that has really honed in on food logging like I have, because I've heard a lot of trainers say that you don't have to food log forever, which you don't. I really don't believe you do. But I've also heard them say that food logging isn't realistic to do for a very long time or whatever. People will be like, I don't food log. Are there people who intuitively eat and lose weight? Sure, but they tend to do a lot of activity. A lot of the people that are telling you don't have to food log, look at them. They're trainers or they're some Instagram model, and they work out a lot. So yeah, maybe they're telling the truth and they don't food log, but they're moving so much, it's hard for them to overconsume on calories. So I think, just like a budget, successful people still know what money is coming in and what money is going out. They don't make so much money that now they don't care. And the ones that typically don't, they have a manager or something like that for their money. So someone is tracking their money. Same thing here. If you want to be successful, I believe that you have to learn to food log. Now, here's my encouragement for you, that once you get really good at this, and I can help you do this, please let me know. I will help you. I food log for about 7 to 10 minutes a day. Now, yes, I meal prep for like 4 hours on, between Saturday and Sunday, 2 hours Saturday, 2 hours Sunday. And that's for the week. So I spend a grand total all week of probably 5 hours on food, which might not sound great. But you probably spend that cooking dinner every night, but if you don't count the meal prepping, food logging, like literally playing with the scale, putting it in my phone, 10 minutes tops every day. I look at my screen usage on my phone. MyFitnessPal is usually around 5 to 7 minutes. So there is hope. I promise. Protein, calories, got to track them. And that's going to be really important. Let me summarize that real quick. Your calories, go into Google and just type in TDEE, Total Daily Energy Expenditure Calculator. Start there. If it spits out, you'll fill out the information. It's very basic information. If it spits out 1,700 calories and it says to lose weight, you need to eat, 1,300 calories. Depending on your activity, that might be what you need. So start with, 1,300. And if you're like, man, I'm starving, then try 1,500. And then that's going to be a good segue into number 4. But start with your TDEE on Google. And then for your protein, 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight, or if you're kind of close-ish to your goal, 20, 30 pounds to lose, 1 gram per pound of body weight. And that will get you really good results. Okay, so number 4 is going to be weight tracking. So the reason that tracking your weight is so important, a lot of people are resistant to it whenever they have a lot of weight to lose. I'll encourage you that it is just a number. It does not define who you are. The scale is, I think I just released like a short about this. The scale is always high or always low. It's never true. So just every time you step on it, even if it's low, just know it is lying to you. It is the trend that we need to care about. Is it trending down? Is it trending flat? Or is it trending up? And I've rarely seen someone going up in weight whenever they're trying to lose weight. So usually it's going to be flat or going down, which is good news because that means you're not going backwards as long as you're giving it effort. So with tracking your weight, you can make adjustments on the fly, which is so important. If 2 weeks go by and you're nice and flat, then we need to change those dials, maybe eat a little bit less calories depending on how many you're eating, maybe increase our cardio a little bit more, increase our steps a little bit more. And by tweaking those dials, we can hone in on the weight and we'll start to see it move the right direction. So remember, the scale is just a number. It's always going to be false, either false high or false low. It is the trend that matters. And so taking as close to daily weigh-ins as possible is going to be good. If you take your weight daily and it bothers you, there are smart scales that you step on it. You don't even have to look at it, and it'll log it into your phone. And every once in a while you can look at it and you'll have the data and they're not very expensive. I mean, the Withings ones are, they're not cheap. They're like 50, 70, 120 bucks, depending on what you get. But I think there's cheaper ones on Amazon that will automatically log your weight Bluetooth into an app. that you can, look at the trend. Am I trending low? Am I trending? You can look at that once a week, and you will see, especially if you. I've never actually tried that. If you look back at it once a week, you will see that wow, if I would have taken my weight here, I would have been worried. But look where it ended up the very next day. Especially if you eat a bad meal or you go on vacation or a birthday dinner or whatever, the next day your weight's almost always going to be false. I always usually recommend to my clients that after a big, you know, I don't want to say a cheat day, but something that isn't on plan, to not even take their weight for the next 2 or 3 days because it's like guaranteed going to be way off. And so it doesn't really help me help them because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to cut their calories based off that because they just had one day of high calories. So I might just encourage them, that regardless whether you took your weight or not, it's going to be false. So just, I wouldn't take it. So that is how I would do number four is just daily weigh-ins so that you can make adjustments to your calories, to your NEAT, and to your exercise. It's going to be so key. So please don't take your weight once a month. That is a horrendous idea. Once a week is okay. It's just if you happen to take, let's say your weight was here, and then the next day it was here, and the next day it was here, and you happen to take it here, and it's trending down, but then the next week it's here and here. Well, now you're like, oh, I'm gaining weight, but then the next one was here and it was trending down. So like we need a trend. If you take it weekly, then I would give it at least 8 weeks before making a judgment call. And if you take it daily, I would only give it a week and a half, 2 weeks, not the first week and a half, 2 weeks. That's just always off. But, every 2 weeks, I might make an adjustment based off what we're seeing on the pattern. So, you could take it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That would still give you a good guess. If you tend to live it up on the weekends, then Monday weigh-ins are going to be false almost all the time, but you're probably going to be pretty flat. Anyone that's a different conversation, but anyone that does good Monday through Friday and then Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, or whatever, they go off the rails. They're almost always just going to be breaking even.